Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Two battles for you today, because they're both kind of short. Well, this first one isn't actually that short. It lasted 10 minutes, it's just, there was basically nothing happening, at least not from the perspective of Benzo 7 here in the BDR G1B. French Tier 5 heavy tank, and a tank that I absolutely hate. While freely admitting that it's actually not that bad a tank. I mean, it's got a very, very nice 90mm gun. The thing is, and this probably gives you some idea of exactly how long ago it was, that when I was actually grinding this tank out, heavy tanks in World of Tanks had at least, possibly, as much as a 4-tier matchmaking spread. At least as much as 3, which means that this thing, this Tier 5 heavy tank, would regularly have to face things like King Tigers and IS-3s. And possibly worse. It was so long ago I can't remember, but the matchmaking for heavy tanks used to be absolutely diabolical. The only things in this game that got worse matchmaking than heavy tanks were light tanks, because they only went up to tier 5, and you had to have something scouting for you in tier 10 battles, so light tanks got a 5-tier matchmaking spread. The game's moved on a bit since then, of course, but I still have that perception in my head of the horrific time I had grinding out this tank. Well, anyway, Benzo finds himself in, I have to say, a very, very nice Warhammer 40k inspired skin here, which I suppose is entirely appropriate because the BDR always kind of looked a bit like the Lehman Russ tank from Warhammer 40k anyway, so yeah, I'm a big fan of that skin. But he does find himself in his Tier 5 heavy tank in a Tier 6 assault battle. He's on the defending side here on the Karelia map. Which is why, generally speaking, when it's not assault mode on Karelia, people do try to rush up to the hill over there on both teams in order to try to command the high ground, or at least some of it, but nobody's bothering here because this team are defending. See, in assault mode, in order to win, the attacking team, the enemy team in this case, have to either kill all enemy tanks or cap, and the pressure's on because in assault mode they only have 10 minutes in which to do it. Now the defending team, in order to win, either kill all of the enemy tanks, because that's always a win, or just prevent them from capping. So unlike in a normal random battle, not an awful lot of point in the defending team. I mean, if you can get a couple of fast tanks up there, and if they're capable of working together, you can deny the enemy those positions and prevent them from getting any kind of flanking fire and any tanks in the middle. But it's generally safer just to sit here around the cap circle and defend. That doesn't require a whole lot of coordination between a whole bunch of random teammates who've never seen each other before and are probably never going to see each other again. So that's basically exactly what Benzo 7 is doing. And it's why the first half of this battle is as dull as dishwater, and we're going to be skipping it entirely and moving ahead to where things start getting interesting. This isn't it. 90mm gun, by the way. At this kind of level, it does pack quite a punch. I still hate the tank though. Barely 2 minutes later, things are not looking quite so good. There are only 3 of them left. They're outnumbered 2-1 by the 6 enemy tanks. The base is being capped. I mean, the KV-85 over there is a fairly strong tank. And then the enemy artillery, I have to admit, great shot there from the Hummel, absolutely ruins his day. And the KV-85 gets finished off by the ARL. 2 against 6. The only good news here is that Benzo has managed to look after his health thus far, but he really needs to finish off that ARL. Actually, there's a whole bunch of things that he needs to do, but it's going to start with that ARL. It is going to take 1 more hit. Now, he can kind of afford to take a hit in return, but obviously he'd prefer not to. Oh, I think we can kiss goodbye to the artillery. I can't really see the Basotto failing to kill the M44 there, and he doesn't. So now it's 1 against 4, and it could have been 1 against 3. High damage roll would have been nice, but no, it was not to be. The Basotto, of course, pushes his luck and manages to get finished off, but that's going to be a problem. Another good shot there from the Hummel, immobilised him, and the M10 took the opportunity to put a damaging shot in there where the Basotto failed. Wait, hang on a minute, what's this? You have reached the daily limit of your playing time. Your session will end in 3 minutes. I've never seen that before. Is that some kind of parental control? Hang on a minute. that notification popped up telling him he was going to have to stop playing in 3 minutes when there was 3.5 minutes of the battle left. I've never seen that before. I don't know how this works, but surely it's going to let him finish the battle. Because if it doesn't, that's going to be a massive blow to morale. He's gotten himself into an artillery safe position. You'll note that the enemy team aren't capping anymore. And this isn't necessarily a case of no cap kill all. I mean, it might be. But that's a fairly exposed cap circle. And artillery is watching. But it might have been a good idea for the enemy team to put somebody into the cap circle in order to force him... Ooh, shit. Okay, well, he got the M10. That's nice. But it still might have been a good... And there's the Stug. I think this is a no-cap kill-all situation. Although, to be fair to the enemy team, the opportunity to stick somebody in the cap circle and draw him out so he can be pounded by artillery and at least one of those 2 tank destroyers... I mean, yes, I know there's only one left now, but at the time when they had 2 tank destroyers, one of them hiding in the bush, the other one drawing him out. Sure, they might have lost one, but they would have absolutely killed him by forcing him to leave this artillery-safe position in order to deal with them capping. There's no way they can win by capping now. I mean, it takes a minute and a half for a single tank to win by capping in assault mode. And all he would have to do would be to kill one of them. In fact, all he has to do now is kill one of them. He has to kill that Stug. While, I mean, he's not going out, so artillery can hit him again. He now only has 1 minute remaining of his playtime, and there's 1 minute and 23 seconds left in this battle. 1 minute and 23 seconds in which he has to probably kill that Stug and then survive. Because he doesn't have to find and kill the Hummel, because he's on the defending team and this is assault mode. But he definitely has to kill the Stug. And there he is, and he's got him. Now he needs to get the hell out of there because he's been spotted. Yep, there's the hit from the artillery. Holy shit, that was close. But it didn't kill him, and this is now a guaranteed win. Because we saw from the trajectory of the artillery shell, and he's all the way over at the other end of the map, which means he's not going to be capping. Not that he could anyway, because there's no time left. So all Benzo 7 has to do is not die. He doesn't need to go hunting the artillery, he just needs to tuck himself in behind the rocks here, wait 30 seconds, and he's won. Remember kids, when you're winning, win. Right? Winning will do. You don't need to go chasing after the last enemy tank, unless you have to go chasing after the last enemy tank. If you don't, just take the win. There's nothing wrong with just winning. You don't have to win any harder than necessary. And that's exactly what Benzo 7 is doing. Stop trying to win harder, a lesson which many World of Warships players appear to be having a great deal of trouble taking on board, but which, here in World of Tanks at least, Benzo 7 is having no such problems. So congratulations Benzo 7 on taking the win that you, well, weren't given, earned. All of which brings us on to our second audio-visual extravaganza of the day, and it's an entirely different proposition. For a start, this is standard battle rather than assault. That's not a tier 5 French heavy, it's a tier 10 British medium, one of my favourite tanks, the Centurion Action 10. It's been driven for us today by Sergeant Broken Rubber. I like it. I see what you did there. This tank features excellent mobility. It does not have a particularly fast top speed, but the power to weight ratio and the ground resistance on the suspension means that it's able to cover rough ground in particular, as well as inclines very, very quickly, which of course is exactly why Sergeant Broken Rubber is making a run for the hill here. And he's not alone. Is he going to make it? Enemy tank spotted. Oh, yes, he's managed to get up here without taking any damage, and he's not alone. Of course, taking the hill here on the Tundra map and actually being able to hold on to it, and probably more importantly, oh, took a hit from artillery there. Oh well, never mind. He's not in any immediate danger, so he doesn't need a burner repair kit here. Got his tracks back up. But exploiting this position and holding on to it is a completely different proposition to getting up here first and technically taking it. Fortunately, the Centurion Action 10 is one of those tanks. Oh, good shot there into the Object 268. But yes, due to a combination of factors, which Sergeant Broken Rubber is about to demonstrate this is one of those tanks that is actually perfectly capable of exploiting this type of position. If you're any good, it's not just a sit here and win button, but this tank has great gun depression and very good accuracy, allowing you to snipe things like the rangefinder on the Object 268. Or, you know, just pump shots through the roof of the very unfortunate tortoise down there. So that great gun depression in combination with an excellent turret. Although the armour on the turret isn't really that thick, but it is very, very well sloped, particularly at that kind of angle. Just goodbye to the tortoise. I feel kind of sorry for him. With a shot into the engine deck of the Object 268. You see, when you're at an elevated position like this, and not so much this, because he's peeking around the corner of the rock there, but when he was up on top, frontal armour is a non-issue because you can shoot down into the top armour. Only works, of course, if you have a tank with enough gun depression to be able to do that without exposing the lower plate as you peek over the top of the rocks. And this poor Object 268, he blew his tracks off, did damage. The 268 used the repair kit, started retreating, blew the tracks off again. Repair kit was on cooldown, couldn't do anything about it, and just, well, had to sit there waiting to die. It's an absolutely textbook play here from Sergeant Broken Rubber. And now, thanks to the cover provided by, well, all the wrecked tanks and the rocks here, although it does kind of work both ways. Turret taking the hit there. A little bit of gold ammo there from the CC-1 Mark II, who really has nothing to shoot at other than the turret. And this battle could still go either way. It's 3 kills apiece. Although that Object 257 is not having a good day. Artillery's battering him. Sergeant Broken Rubber keeps looking for the shots. Trying to get the kill. Oh, one more hit, that guy's dead. The CC Mark 1 is having, Mark 2, sorry, is having absolutely no luck. There goes the 257. There is just nothing for them to shoot at. Only 2 enemy tanks left here. The Super Conqueror there, who did get a good shot in, but took some damage in return. The team do have a fair numerical advantage here, but they're reluctant to push it, possibly because there's a Jagdtiger in the rocks at the back there, and that thing has a fearsome rate of fire with its 128mm gun. Also, there's a sneaky little Object 268 just popped up to the rear, trying to work his way around if you look at the minimap, although he's just been jumped on by a Batchat, who also has tank destroyer problems of his own. So, I mean, this could still go either way. The team are only 1 kill up. Okay, the 2 kills up now. The Batchat's taken out the Object 268 that was threatening the rear, and it's here where the collapse begins, because the Batchat is not finished. He's going after the Type 61. On the far side of the rocks, he's got him. The team Super Conqueror and T-30 are sweeping around to the west. The Batchat gets itself another kill, knocking out the Shah Future 4. The enemy team, they're kind of running out of tanks to hold on with, which is really, really bad news for the 2 enemy tanks remaining here, because they're unable to push forward. They don't have the numbers anymore. They had the chance to do that, but that was 5 minutes ago. Now it is way too late, and all they can do is hang on. But the longer they hang on, the fewer teammates they have to protect their flanks, which are rapidly getting rolled up by the rest of Sergeant Broken Rubber's team. Super Conqueror's trying to hold on. The CC-1 Mark II is backed up around. Here it goes. They're going for it. Led by the Bobjet. Remember, there's a Jagdtiger, a Leopard, and artillery in the rocks at the back there. The CC-1 Mark II is completely buggered. It's just a question of who's going to get the kill. The VZ-55 coming around the flank, distracting him. Sergeant Broken Rubber gets the kill. Here comes the Leopard, a day late and a dollar short, sat in the back of the rocks there the entire game. I guess he figures, well, I'm going down, but I'm going to take that Bobjet with me, and he gets his wish, but yeah. And that just leaves the Jagdtiger and the artillery. The Jagdtiger in, well, 5 minutes ago, what he thought was a good spot, now isn't. And that just leaves the artillery. I mean, that is actually a very good spot for the artillery to be, particularly the Batchat 155-58. He's probably done a lot of damage up there, but I'm guessing not quite as much as Sergeant Broken Rubber did. Not a Top Gun. Nobody scored a Top Gun in that match. The Batchat came close with 4 kills. Sergeant Broken Rubber came closer with 5, but it was a high caliber because he did more than 6,400 damage. All more or less from the same position in a very short, sharp and brutal Tier 10 standard battle here on the Tundra map. And in addition to the 6,400 damage done, nearly 1,300 damage bounced. Almost certainly all of that on the turret from those hold down positions that he was able to exploit by getting this tank to the place where it could do the most damage in the shortest possible amount of time, which of course was the hill over on the eastern end of the Tundra map. Absolute textbook example there from Sergeant Broken Rubber of how to maximise the advantages and minimise the disadvantages of the Centurion Action 10. Hope you enjoyed both this and Benzo 7's effort in the previous battle in the BDR, and as always, take care, have yourselves a great day, and I'll catch you next time.